Oh man, most embarrassing bands.
I don't know, man. We're pretty used to each other by this point, so it's like I don't think it's one moment. I think it's been a lifetime with them.
Yeah, we've been accumulating those for a long time.
I mean, I said the wrong city name once, and that was incredibly embarrassing. Luckily, I have a New Zealand accent, so I don't think anyone understood me anyway. But that was on our first tour, and
actually, we learned a lot of things on that first.
Yeah,
we had a lot of things happen on that first tour. Yeah, Chris said the wrong town name, and at that same show, I got sick and I lost my voice. But now, you know, because as a singer, like sooner or later you're going to get sick. So you start to learn when you can feel it coming on, and there's different things you can do, or you can say to the other guys, hey, do you guys mind singing these parts or whatever. But it was only our first tour, and it was only like the second show, so I must have got sick straight away. And there were a lot of people there, and I went to sing, and my voice was like, you know, and like I was the only guy singing, and there were thousands of people there, and it was our first big tour, and I just remember, you know, that's like, as a singer, that's like your worst nightmare.
Yeah.
You know, it sounded like a kid going through puberty. So that was pretty embarrassing.
yeah. The funny thing is though, man, like, you know, you do that. I called the city the wrong name, and it was because, you know, we were having such a chaotic. It was an outdoor show, and like there were hurricane warnings, and so all these storm clouds and rain had come in, and so all of our gear, which was digital, was like not working. Matt couldn't sing. You know, we're all just a bit thrown, you know.
Yeah.
And I just said, like the last show we'd been to, I guess I just sort of drifted back to the day before when everything had run smoothly.
Yeah, right. To the good old days.
And but I mean, I guess the funny thing is, we played that show, we went to the signing afterwards, and the line was so long, and it was kind of like, you know, you don't want to take yourself too seriously, because you're gonna fuck up. You're gonna make mistakes. You're gonna do. I mean, if you're on a stage and like tonight, I don't know, there are 13,000 people. There's a very high chance that something embarrassing is gonna happen. You know what I mean? I think we've all fallen on stage, or we've all, you know, sung the wrong lyrics at some point, said the wrong name, made sort of a Swedish yodeling sound when he tried to sing like an adolescent boy or something.
All kinds of stuff, like, you know, you have
man.
guitars in different tunings for different songs, and I've played the wrong guitar for, you know, so which means that I'm playing in the wrong key, and it took, because my in-ears weren't working properly, it took me about half the song to realize. So then you're like, that must have sounded fucking terrible. You know, it's like one guy in the band playing one semitone out for the whole song. But I mean, as Chris says, you know, what it teaches you is that shit happens, and you just learn to roll with the punches. And stuff happens. You know, you make little mistakes every night.
What you do? I thought we sounded bad.
I make little mistakes.
I wondered who it was.
Yeah. It's because your stuff's not plugged in.
Yeah.
But
that one perfect.
yeah. But you know, you learn to you'll just learn to roll with the punches, and that's part of being a performer.
Yeah.
And you learn to appreciate being in the moment more. So if something happens, then it's gone, and now you're in this moment. So
People like that.
Oh man, I mean that's
Right,
the
yeah.
whole reason you go to a rock show, you know, as
Yeah.
opposed to other genres maybe. It's like rock music is not about perfection. Rock music is supposed to be raw and have, you know, all those moments that it could fall apart any time. That's what makes
Yeah.
the greatest moments of a show. So.
yeah. I mean, you know, I will say that we have like 99.9% of our fans are absolutely amazing. They really are. I don't know if I've ever had an embarrassing moment with a fan. I've had a couple of.
We've had some scary moments, and
moments.
you're always, you
Yeah.
know, it is embarrassing to be, even if you know you can't do anything about it. But you know, it is embarrassing when, you know, you have to have security escorts everywhere in the venue because people were, you know, threatening things, and And because I think, you know, you always wonder if like do people think we're such a big deal that we need to have security escorts in the end of the day, or do we need police to come down and do things outdoors? But
that's true.
It's never about us. It's always, you know, management or venues or whatever. Unfortunately, there are some people out there who are delusional and make threats and you know, sometimes violent, and then the venues will insist on these things, you know, and so I think that, you know, it's always embarrassing when it's very, you know, we're really down to earth, you know, and we really, the four of us, we never have like a vibe of anything other than like we just go there and we get to play and that's it. So when you're walking around with like personal security guards and police,
it makes you feel self-conscious. It does, and yeah, Chris is right. It's like you feel like, you know, do I look like I think I'm like the president or like I'm so important? But the reality is that no,
it's not our insistence.
And the reality is that you know, sometimes you do need that.
Yeah, you got to be careful.
So yeah, I don't think we've had really any embarrassing stories. I mean, honestly, we've gone around the world meeting the nicest people, dude. We really have. And people are really respectful and just stoked to have a conversation, you know. And we like to talk to people, so it's never been weird for us. There's only a couple of instances where we've had to have, you know, security involved, and then I think that just comes with the territory.
Man, you really want us to. You really want to get the dirt and have us tell tales on other musicians.
This one is easy for me. We made our first record in Los Angeles, and a lot of musicians live in Los Angeles. And we grew up in New Zealand, where a lot of bands don't necessarily come to New Zealand to play, or if they do, maybe they came once when I was a kid. But you don't really have the opportunity to meet people the way that you do when you're in LA. So when we were making our first record, we made some great friends in LA, and we got invited to a lot of different parties and stuff. And there would kind of be famous musicians at every party because I guess it's, you know, Los Angeles. And I remember two people who are like two of my idols. If I'd met them 6 beers earlier, I would have been a lot more charming, you know what I mean? It's like I wasn't like I was so nervous, so I drank to, it was like I didn't know I was going to meet them, and so it was around the end of the night, and you know, we were just kind of blowing off steam because we were making our album, and we didn't go out that much making our record because we wanted our first album to be good. So when we did go out, you kind of celebrate. And there's a couple of my idols that I met that I'm like, I really hope that guy doesn't remember who I am.
That's the great thing about no one knowing who you are, though. You can make all those mistakes before your first album, you know? They won't remember.
You know, I'm sure if I met them now, I could have, you know, a decent conversation or something. But it's, it's Chris, I'm glad that they would have had no idea who I was. Because I was definitely like that drunk dude, you know, oh my God, man, you know, because you just, I mean, you know, you're not prepared for that. So yeah, that was embarrassing, definitely.
Okay. Okay. You're assuming something, but I don't.
No, well, I'm not. I mean, I don't know if, are you wanting to talk about our own experience or just people we've seen do very, very embarrassing things?
Well.
I mean, I'm not going to name names, but there was one of the funniest introductions I've had to a band that we toured with. Again, I'm not naming any names. Was when we showed up the night before we were going to start this tour. And it was, you know, they were going to be big shows. And I guess someone at the hotel said, oh, you got to go to this bar, it's a rock club, it's really cool. And we walked into the venue, to the bar, we got a beer, and we see someone in the corner, like, holy shit, that's this thing from the band we're opening up for tomorrow night. And he kind of looks up, and then he proceeds to throw up on the floor right next to the couch, you know, right next to the sofa that he's on. And he looks at us again, and then he wipes his mouth, and then he comes up, he's like, "You guys look like you're in a band." We're like, "Yeah, we're opening for you tomorrow night."
And he held out his hand.
And he held out his hand
Like,
for us to shake
shake
it
his
or
hand?
fist bump, and we're like, "Dude, I just watched you wipe vomit off your own mouth." I didn't come here to air my dirty laundry, you know what I mean? You gotta save something for us. I don't know.
They probably involve going out and drinking too much, and like, yeah, and it's like, but it's like, we're not like belligerent drunks. We're not alcoholics or anything, but you're asking about all the embarrassing shit. So.
I mean, when we first started, like when we moved from New Zealand to Canada, and we're kind of, and nobody knew us when we first went there, and we were playing like the bar scene to get known.
Yeah.
And when we started off, we were playing like the Monday nights at like the shittiest places there were, you know, and there might be 5 people in there, and there might be, you know, more homeless people outside than there actually were fans in the venue.
Definitely. Definitely.
Then eventually we would make it to the nicer clubs, like on the weekends, and like the best rock clubs in the city on the weekends. And then, you know, because we were kind of like struggling musicians, we didn't have any money. So every night we went out, these venues would just like, even if we weren't playing, they would just take us out and like just give us drinks the entire night. And I think there was a period where we kept going to them, that we would be drinking there, you know, until 8 a.m. the next morning, I don't know, well after they shut. And it would always be like one or other of us, they would be sending home with like a beer pitcher just in case we needed to be sick in it on the car ride home.
We had this collection of like massive beer jugs at home.
That all these, that one of these 2 venues had given us every morning, because we're, you know, being broke, like if someone wanted to give you a drink, we weren't going to turn it down, because we couldn't afford like our own alcohol. So we would basically try and do a month's worth of drinking in a night.
Which never turns out that well.
Yeah, it was always funny. And then, how many of those have you guys got at home? You know, we had like so many pictures that they've given us.
Pretty good collection.
I don't know, that's not that embarrassing. But
no, but you know, they were good times, because like, you know, we had moved up to North America from New Zealand, and you know, you just play whatever gig you could, but you know, when you're a young band, like, you're not earning a lot of money, so you go out and people want to buy you drinks, and it was great. So we have the trophies.
We have the trophies.
I think I'd delete the embarrassing ones.
I mean, I don't know, Zach, our drummer's big on like creating memes, you know what I mean? Of like us and of anybody. So I think right now we're kind of going through each other's Instagrams and stuff, or go online and try and find the most embarrassing photo we can.
Yeah, that's true.
Like
that
on the internet.
Thread between the 4 of us is like a hotbed of embarrassing stuff.
So yeah, I don't know. The most embarrassing photo I have will be one of like the worst photo ever taken of Matt or Zach or whatever I find online.
That's the thing about being in a band too, is that, I mean, I think it is for a lot of people now, but the embarrassing photos aren't on our phones, they're on the internet.
Yeah.
You know, because people like might take a photo of you at the end of the night, or you're doing something and you don't know they're taking a photo of you, so you're pulling some weird expression or whatever, and then now that's up on the internet forever for us to steal and make memes of.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
I mean, that helps us whatever, see the funny side of it, I guess, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you don't want to take yourself too seriously then, and when you take a lot of photos with people, then you know it's inevitable, I think.
You can't look good on all.
No, you can't.
No. And sometimes we can't look good on any.